Helaman. The two linesmen, John D'Amico and Claude Béchard. As the officials line up at center ice. Van Helaman in the middle, Béchard on the right, and D'Amico on the left. Ken Dryden starting in goal for the Montreal Canadiens. 14 previous playoff games, a 1.96 goals against average. At the other end, Jerry Cheevers, the man who received the tremendous ovation here before the game. 11 previous games this year at 2.77 goals against average. Don Cherry paces behind the Boston bench. We are ready for the opening faceoff of Game 6. And here we go. Robinson for Montreal, number 19. Beats Deguini. Puck comes to center. Smith cleared it to Dennis O'Brien. He tried to shoot it into the Canadian zone, and Serge Savard over to Larry Robinson. At center for Schutt. It was knocked off his stick by O'Brien. Now Robinson back for Montreal. Canadians can win the cup with a victory tonight. The Bruins. And a victory will force a 7th game. Smith back in his own zone. Shot up the center. Here's Serge Savard to Lemaire. Backhanding it into the Boston zone. Rick Smith back to touch it, and we'll get an icing call here against the Canadians. And a face-off in the Montreal zone.
Well, Don Cherry, as Dan pointed out, was part of a little meeting prior to tonight's game. You see his record in Stanley Cup Final play. It's last year and this. And Scotty Bowman got together with referee-in-chief Scotty Morrison. We heard the bare details, Dan. This will be a fly in the wall, but as Dan mentioned, Scotty will be a guest, Morrison that is, during the first intermission.
Face-off coming up to the right of the Canadiens' goal. We're still in the first minute of play. Andy Van Helaman, the man in charge of this game here tonight, is the referee. Here's Jean Rattel against Jarvis, and Jarvis wins the face-off cleanly. Nairop bumped by O'Reilly in the corner. Now Rattel trying to get the puck loose on the boards, lost it, and Houle for Montreal comes to center. Fires it into the Bruins zone. Milbury trying to get it out of there. Lapointe flips it back in behind the goal. Houle tries to center. Cheevers backs it away. Brad Clark on right wing to O'Reilly. He flips it to center. Now Milbury clearing it into the Canadian zone. Nairop takes him out of the play. Now Rattel and Jarvis fight for it. Here's Middleton, centers, and it's cleared away by Nairop. Here's Geaney, number 23 for the Canadiens. Fires it in. Cheevers leaves it for Terry O'Reilly. O'Reilly, number 24. Trying to set up Rattel, does to center ice. Rattel bumped and knocked down by Nairop. Here's Lafleur to Nairop. Now to Lemaire. Jock Lemaire ahead to Steve Schutt, shooting, and it was off Brad Clark. Clark flipped it around. Here's Lafleur. Center. Clark cleared it, and Clark clears it again before Schutt could get to it. Brad Clark trying to get it out, held in by Lemaire. He's knocked down by O'Reilly. Center to Lafleur, now to Schutt. Back to Robinson, clears to the corner. Lafleur bumped by Marcotte. Rattel couldn't get it out. Savard held it in. Savard to Schutt. Milbury's on top of him, and they hold it in the corner to the left of the Bruins goal.
Mike Milbury took quite a run at Lafleur. Good check in the corner, and then Lafleur was hit again by Don Marcotte. So Chico Resch, the Bruins' strategy is obvious. They are not going to lay back when it comes to using the body.
Well, that's the quickest way to get into the game, the players tell me, to use the body and get out there and hit. You get relaxed. The nice thing to see is, though, that they're keeping their sticks down. We're going to look at the hit here on Lafleur, and you'll see here, Don Marcotte, now watch, he keeps the stick down, good shoulder check, and that's the type of hitting fans and the players they enjoy. But when the sticks get up, that's a different story.
Here's Lemaire against Shepard. Important face-off in the Bruins zone. Shepard won it, and Smith, number 23, headman to Smots. Couldn't get through Savard and Robinson, and Savard clears to center. Gary Doak got it back into the Montreal zone. Here's Robinson. Clears it into the Boston zone. Cheevers flips the puck himself and flips it up over the glass. And the face-off will be in the Boston zone. From the Boston Garden, this is Stanley Cup Garden, where the first pro hockey game was played November 20th, 1928 between the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins. They're meeting here in Game 6 tonight. False draw on the face-off, and we'll do it over again to the left of the Boston goal. Pierre Mondieu, the Canadiens rookie, against Peter McNabb. McNabb gets it for Rick Smith. Flips it, held in by Savard. Savard hits Cornway with it. Now Savard carried it back into the top side at the Bruins blue line.
Big Serge Savard looked a little tired, some people thought, earlier in this series, but played, I thought, his best game of the playoffs, certainly close to it, Chico, 2 nights ago in Montreal.
Contributed 3 assists in that Canadiens 4-1 victory. Here's Mondieu for Montreal, shooting it into the Bruins zone. Cornway was trapped in there offside. It's Mondieu, Cornway, and Lambert up front for Montreal. McNabb, Jonathan, and Cashman on the forward line for the Bruins. Pierre Mondieu, we saw his goal, which proved to be the winner in Game 5 a little earlier in our show tonight. Bruins shoot it into the Canadian zone. Dryden setting it up for Savard. Around the boards to Lambert. Doak ties him up, but Cashman gets it. Cashman to Jonathan. Savard and Jonathan front for it. Here's Mondieu. Lost it to McNabb. McNabb tries to center. And Dryden squared it behind the goal for Serge Savard. Savard leading the rush, passes to Lambert into the Bruins zone, and the play is called back from a 2-line offside from inside the Montreal line to the Boston side of center ice.
So much travel, Gary Doak. A game winner in Game 3. That was the shutout win for the Bruins, and he scored early. He was a member of the Boston 1970 Stanley Cup winning team, the first time the Bruins had won the Cup in 19 years. But when they won in 72, he was playing elsewhere. In the last couple of years, he has become quite a factor in the Boston defense.
Both the previous games in this series here at the Garden, the Bruins scored in the first minute of play. Doak at the 59-second mark of Game 3, and Shepard at the 25-second mark of Game 4. We played over 3.5 minutes, and it's scoreless as LaRouche shoots it into the Bruins zone. Brad Park is back to get it. Park. Over to O'Reilly, tipped it into the Montreal zone. LaPointe tried to shoot it up. Middleton holding it in. Jarvis tied him up. The shot goes wide. Here is LaPointe clearing it, but now play is called and a penalty coming up.
First penalty of the hockey game goes to Montreal.
Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Boston.
Dryden in on the act as well. O'Reilly in the middle, and that's why Nyrop has been sent to the penalty box. The back of the net, look at it. The puck didn't miss by very much as it got through everybody, and then Nyrop put the grab on O'Reilly. So the first break goes to the Bruins. We have not had a shot on goal in the hockey game officially. The Bruins now on a power play.
Bruins with 10 power play goals in the playoffs, only 2 in the previous games against Montreal. Cashman, the Boston captain, to Marcotte behind the net. Marcotte got away from Savard, centered to Cashman. Cashman flipped it in front. Savard tipped it away, and LaPointe cleared it. It's held in by Bob Smuts to Shepard. Now to Marcotte. Back to Park. Shoot, and he scores!
That goal ties the Stanley Cup record of goals in 1 year in the playoffs by a defenseman. That's Brad Park's 9th, equaling Bobby Orr's record. Chico, he drilled it through a screen.
Brad's got a very good shot. Here you'll see Kenny screened a little bit again by Bob Gainey sliding out. There was traffic to Kenny's left. You'll see it here. He's going to have trouble getting his left pad out. You'll see Serge Savard and Wayne Cashman. Kenny has trouble seeing the shot, and then he gets kind of jammed in with the 2 men on the edge of the crease. And I was just going to say, Boston really needed a lift. They didn't create much offense in the last game, and that's a big lift for them.
Brad Park gets the goal, his 9th of the playoffs, and the Bruins lead 1-0. Here's Dennis O'Brien. It was a power play goal by Park as the Bruins cleared in. Robinson, forced shot. Now feeds to Lemaire, who got it to center. Marcotte knocking it down. And he dumps it right back into the Canadian zone. Nyrop. Around on the boards, Rick Smith attempting to hold it in. Flips it back into the corner. Larry Robinson trying to beat it out. It was all the way down the ice. That shot racing with Rick Smith for it. And Smith was able to touch the puck first. And as a result, we have an icing call against the Canadiens.
Look at Brad Park. We're going to see it to the goal here again. Brad, I've noticed they've been shooting to Kenny's glove side quite a bit. Low to his glove side. Kenny seems to be having a little bit of trouble. Although there, he was screened and there was traffic to his left. But Brad Park having just a great series and really the spark plug to the Boston offense.
Shepard on the face-off with Lemieux. The Canadiens, Robinson trying to clear it. Does the shot, knocked down by O'Brien, who's going to get a penalty. Here's Lemieux, shoots one, and Beavers kicked it out. And as soon as the Bruins get possession, now the penalty call against Dennis O'Brien for holding. And the Canadiens will have the man advantage. This is Stanley Cup holding, the much-traveled Dennis O'Brien. Here's a look at the penalty.
Steve Shutt was the object of his attention. He wrestles him to the ground, so the Canadiens, who have just been scored on a Boston power play, have their first power play chance here in the first period.
And the Bruins, Smots, or at least Shepard, clears at the center ice. Lafleur back to pick it up. Montreal with the man advantage. Canadiens with 14 power play goals in the playoffs. Here's Robinson, checked by Marcotte. And Lafleur has to go back. Marcotte and Shepard are the penalty killers with Park and Milbury on defense. Here's Lemieux. Flipping it into the Bruins zone. Milbury and Lemieux go to the corner after it. Park comes in and it's held there. And the faceoff will be in the Bruins zone. Mike Milbury, Boston area youngster in the Bruin lineup. The Bruin goal, by the way, Park, is 9th of the playoffs from Shepard and Marcotte at 4:05 of the first period, and it was a power play. Canadiens now on the power play. It is LaRouche, Robinson, and Lemieux up front. Lapointe and Lafleur are the point men. And right from the faceoff, Cheever grabbed it and held on. And that faceoff will again be to the right of the Boston goal.
Jerry, that's the secret here, is to try and tie that puck up around the goal, especially when Montreal's on the power play. And I think you'll see Jerry hang on to it every chance he gets.
There's Park for Boston trying to shoot it out of there. He does. Lafleur cleared it, but Shepard gets it for the Bruins. There's Shepard, number 19, dropping it back to Milbury. Milbury taken out of the play by Robinson. Now Shepard firing it around to the other wing. Lafleur and Marcotte fight for it. John Marcotte lost it, and Lafleur, number 10 for Montreal, leaves it for Lemieux. He in turn leaves for Lafleur. To Lemieux. Dumps it into the Bruins zone. Beavers flipping it around in the boards, and Shepard gets it into the center ice area. Number 28, Pierre LaRouche. Gives to Lafleur. Shepard hounding Lafleur. Lafleur. Then bumped by Milbury, and Marcotte clears it down the ice. 38 seconds left in the penalty to O'Brien. Guy Lapointe, number 5 for the Canadiens. Bumped by Smots. Here's Miller for Boston. Lapointe tying him up. Miller and Lapointe battle for it on the boards. And they hold it there finally, and the faceoff will be in the Canadian zone.
And a great bit of penalty killing by the Bruins. There you see the situation on the clock. O'Brien, number 28 of Boston, with 18 seconds left. And young Bob Miller, among others, has been responsible for keeping the Canadiens without a shot on this power play. O'Brien looking on from the penalty box. A goal by Park was his 20th point in this playoff year. One behind Lafleur now. The record, Dan Kelly, you were wondering, for defenseman points in a playoff year, 24. By guess.
Would it be or?
Yes, that's not a bad guess.
Here is Smots. Clearing it over to Smith into the corner. Savard gets it for the Canadiens. They have the man advantage. Now Robinson tied up by Smots. Here's Mondeau for Montreal. Pierre Mondeau to Robinson. Robinson got it to Shutt at center ice. Now to Mondeau. Penalized player back on. Here's Mondeau. The shot shoots. Peters to save. They score. Shutt on the rebound. And Steve Shutt ties the game at 1-1.
But Chico, you know what Steve Shutt can do on rebounds. As Cheevers made the initial save, it went through my mind, that's the save of the game to this point. But he couldn't corral the rebound, or certainly the defense couldn't clear it.
Nice play here by Pierre Mondeau. And you'll see Jerry make an excellent save, and Brad Park there should have perhaps picked up Steve Shutt. But if you'll notice, And the thing to look for here is the great play Steve Shutt made, because he pokes the puck with one hand here. You see that? And just up and over. And there's a great example of what Steve Shutt can do around the net.
Well, the game is tied 1-1. The Canadiens on the goal by Shutt have tied it, and we have a delay because down in the Boston area to our left, somebody has thrown something on the ice, and they have to bring out the equipment to clean it up. Here's the announcement on the goal scored by Shutt.
You talk about timing. If we remember, Boston has just killed off a power play here. They really didn't have a good chance. And immediately after, you'll see there Steve Shutt again, one-hands it. And I remember when I was a kid, they used to say Gordie Howe scored a goal one-handed. I never saw it, but I saw that there, and that was quite an effort.
Gordie's so strong, he used to shoot them one-handed, never mind tipping them in. But Shutt, as you know, Chico, I don't think that, he calls himself the Phantom. He says, I just go around and pick things up there lying around the goal crease, and he can do it, I guess, one-handed or two-handed.
The goal by Shutt is 9th of the playoffs. Fondue and Robinson assist at 7:01. The penalty had expired to O'Brien. He was back on the ice for 7 seconds, so it was not a power play goal, and it's tied 1-1. Brad Clark had scored earlier for the Bruins on a power play, his 9th from Shepard and Marcotte at 4:05 of this first period.
Here's the announcement. They are going to say that Clark has tied Bobby Orr's record of 9 for a defenseman. That's the third time in this series that Clark has scored the game's first goal, and ironically, defensemen have scored the first goal in 5 of the 6 games played so far. Chico, the word intensity is a favorite of coaches when you interview them in this day and age. It's amazing to me how a team like the Bruins, playing as they did 2 nights ago, can come out and, if you want to talk about intensity, look so different 48 hours later.
Well, people always say, how much of a difference does home ice make? And it's something you can't put your finger on, but you seem to be up and play a little more loose and a little intense at home, especially when you got a big boisterous crowd like we have here tonight.
12:59 left in the opening period. Boston 1, Montreal 1. Gary Doak from the faceoff to Rick Smith. Now to Rattel. Going back is Nyerop. He's checked by O'Reilly. Now Ray Jean-Houle, number 15, to Bob Gainey. Gainey played it off the boards to center to Jarvis. That's an offside pass from inside the Canadiens' blue line to the Boston side of center ice.
Terry O'Reilly of the Bruins. Boy, what an improvement he had this year. He had 90 scoring points. His previous best in his career in regular season play was 55. That's tremendous. Dryden has really been yapping at linesman D'Amico, feeling that last play should have been called icing against Boston.
Face off, the puck cleared to center. Doak tried to set up Smith. Houle comes up with the puck for Montreal, drops it to Bill Nyerop. Up the middle for Jarvis. Jarvis ahead to Gainey. It went off his skate. Smith clears for the Bruins, and Nyerop has it for Montreal. To Guy Lafleur. Backhanding it in. Bounces. Peters makes the save, and didn't like the way Gainey was cutting in on the wing after the loose puck.
Good check there a moment ago. O'Reilly on Guy Lafleur. Bob Gainey played a tremendous game in Montreal the other night, and that's almost a recorded announcement at this time of year, Chico, because he has just been a tremendous playoff performer. Guy Lafleur also leaving the ice for Montreal as both teams now make a change in this 1-1 hockey game. A look here at how Lapointe hit the deck very unceremoniously. A good solid check thrown at him by O'Reilly.
Here is Shutt for the Canadiens, trying to make a play, tied up by Shepard. Marcotte clears the center. Lafleur intercepting. Here's number 10, Guy Lafleur to Lemaire. Off the skate, Peavers out of the net, and is able to get it to the line and outside the line, and when the Canadiens shoot it back in, it's offside.
Speaking of those 5 out of the 6 first goals scored by a defenseman, I think it's a good sign, Dick. I think it's a sign of the times where the defensemen are becoming much more involved in the scoring, and I think it makes the game more exciting.
Lemaire with Shutt and Lafleur out against the Shepard, Marcotte line for Boston. Under